Happy New Year's, Maplers. It's been about 4 years since I've uploaded a Maplestory video. It's been a long time since I've uploaded any content at all. So I wanted to do something fun and release a reboot progression guide. Not only for myself as a timeline of my progress, but also for others who might be struggling to break through what I consider to be the first half or the first main milestone of the game. So in this episode specifically, I'll be going over levels 1 through 125 and the important things to do within that level range, which, if you aren't already familiar, is the Afterlands questline and also the Von Leon questline. There aren't really any rules for the series other than farming mesos and coin capping are only going to be done on my Mihao. Minus, I think I sent about 65 million through storage that I moved over just to kind of cover hyper teleport rocks and any sort of basic upgrades just to start out. I will be using my Legion and my Ling skills, but it's very, very limited in Reboot. I don't have a whole lot going on. I have less than 1500 Legion in Reboot, so I don't think it's too big of a deal. But I'm really not trying to create perfect conditions for a new player. I'm just trying to give an overall kind of comprehensive guide for where I start and what I do to reach what I think, of course, is the first main milestone, which is Chaos Root Abyss. So with all of that out of the way, I hope you all enjoy the series and find the episodes useful. And without further ado, we're going to start from the beginning. I decided to create a Mihal. I'm not sure what drew me to this class specifically. It's not really spectacular damage class. It didn't get an amazing overhaul in the Awake update, and it isn't particularly stellar at solo bossing aside from being a crazy tank. But I think kind of all of that combined mixed with really, really satisfying aesthetics of the class, it just kind of drew me in. So the first goal, of course, was to get to my third job. This is where Mihal gets the enhanced Royal Guard passive. I started off in all of the typical places and avoided doing any themed dungeons aside from Marina Straight. I've done them all a million times before. I really didn't want to do them again. But if you're starting out and don't like to grind as much, I highly recommend doing the themed dungeons available to you starting at level 30. Doing 3 of them to completion will grant you some pretty useful early items and enough experience to go from levels 30 through level 60 in probably about an hour or two, depending on how quickly you finish. After getting to third job, the goal was to hit level 75. I trained at the Drakes in Sleepywood until about level 70, and then I got to level 76 or 77 through Stairway to the Sky in Orbis. I would have stopped at 75 exactly, but I had coupons on and I really didn't want to waste them. So I kept grinding a little bit until I was finally done with those, and then I moved on to the Afterlands. This questline is super easy. It's just a little bit of a time sink, and unfortunately it can bug out on you from time to time if you don't do it right. There's a few guides you can watch on YouTube, but I prefer to use a Reddit guide I found a little while back that sort of explains the entire dungeon in a brief enough way that it isn't confusing and it only fills up one page or one post on Reddit. So keep in mind that you'll need to set aside probably about an hour or a little bit more to get this done in one go. Like I said, the dungeon can be buggy, so doing it in one sitting, it avoids most of the risk. I've had a character before where I decided to get to halfway through the dungeon. I was getting tired, I went to sleep, I logged on the next day, and for some reason my quests were just bugged out. I couldn't finish them, I couldn't turn certain ones in, and in the end it was a waste of time because I couldn't get the totems. Granted, that was a little while ago, so I'm not sure if it's still that bad now, but just avoid any risk and just try to get it done all in one go. A couple of things to note about the Afterlands as well is that it's best to have 12 etc. slots open at least, as you'll be unlocking all of the locks at the door at the very end all at once. And when you unlock the very top lock, you have to click kind of above the actual lock. For some reason, like I said, this dungeon can be buggy. If you click the lock itself, it says that you don't have the key, even if you do in your inventory. So don't panic. If it's telling you that on the very last lock, just click slightly above it and it should work. After I finished the Afterlands, I was rewarded with 4 really useful permanent totems. Obviously, these aren't amazing, but they do provide a great boost to your stats really early on that you otherwise really have. Obviously, any veteran player is going to tell you that the Yew Garden totems are much better, and they are right, but they're time limited items and they're a super rare drop from monsters around the Far East, which means you'll need to farm them more than once to keep replacing them. And at the moment, that's just not an efficient use of your time. So if you want to farm them later on, I highly recommend that you do so. But for now, the Afterlands totems will be more than enough. So once I got my totems and realized that I was too low of a level to wear them, you have to be level 90, I decided to go grind out the last few levels to 100. I did this by going to Sand Rats in Ariant, and I went to Roids in Magadia. Then after hitting level 100, I went to Job Advance, and very luckily spotted an MVP Smega. The timing on this honestly could not have been more perfect. It was late at night. I think it was the only one for a while. So after getting the MVP, I used a 2x EXP coupon, a Monster Park Gold Potion, and I grabbed a rune, and I went to go do normal Zakum. So amazingly enough, I was able to get 1 level per arm at Zakum, and I ended up at level 108 by the end of the fight, which is amazing experience for a non-burning character. If you're burning, you'll probably find yourself maybe around 120, give or take. Zakum arms give a lot of experience, but you need to make sure that you defeat the arms before you defeat the body. Otherwise, you're losing out on a lot of experience. So make sure the first time when you get in there, you have to defeat the arms. You also have to watch out for the spots on the ground. If he slams his arm down on you in one of those spots, it's instant death. You lose your life, and you also lose your experience coupons at the same time. So make sure that when you're fighting him, you be very, very careful. Make sure you get the arms first. Make sure you don't die, and you will be rewarded with a lot of experience early on. So there are a few items I'm aiming to get from Zakum. Firstly, I needed a better weapon, and he does drop a level 110 one-handed sword. But more importantly, he also drops our early best in slot face accessory and our early best in slot eye accessory. These two items are considered to be the best 2 items in their slots until you can get the Sweetwater accessories. The reason is because they count towards the boss accessory set bonuses. And because they're also dropped from a boss, that means that they come with boss flames, which are higher than normal additional stats randomly added to the item. I was able to get the aquatic eye accessory with a pretty decent strength flame the first time I fought Zakum, which is awesome. It wasn't potential, but that's not a big deal. We'll be using an epic potential scroll on it eventually anyway. And then a couple days later, I was also able to get the condensed eye accessory with a sort of decent strength flame as well. But I'll likely replace that one as I can definitely get a better one. After Zakum, we went to level up more. I still had some EXP bonuses on, so I decided I was going to go ahead and not waste them, and I went to Blood Harps for just a few levels. I think I went from 108 to 113, and then from there I went to Robos, and I got up to level 120. And after that, it was time for one of the worst, but also kind of not the worst anymore, prequest, Von Leon. Von Leon has a longer prequest than most, only because it requires you to collect items and travel back and forth between maps frequently. In the Awake update, though, the spawn rate of the area got buffed significantly, which is great because previously the spawn rate used to be probably less than 6 or 7 mobs per map at any time, and it just made it painfully slow. So now it takes right around an hour or so to finish if you're taking your time. I highly recommend the Hyper Teleport Rock though, as it does kind of make things go a little bit quicker. You're going to be spending a lot of time going back and forth between one NPC and another and then collecting, and it's much, much better with a Hyper Teleport Rock. So Reboot, if you have it, it only costs 5 mil in the cash shop. I definitely recommend it. There is also a quest given early on by Mert in the second tower that you need to complete in order to get access to the Von Leon store. Once you accept it, you get teleported to El Nath. There you will find an NPC called Alacaster. After turning the quest into him, you'll need to talk to him again and accept a quest called Alacaster's Crystal. Then you go to the second tower where Mert is and double click the crystal in your used inventory. If you use the crystal anywhere else but in front of Mert, it does nothing, and then you have to pay Alacaster 10 mil to get another. So don't make that mistake. I thought it was bugged for some reason because I haven't done the pre-quest in a while. Like I said, it used to be terrible, so I used to skip it. I ended up paying 10 mil just to get another crystal just because I didn't read the description of the item and I didn't read the description of the quest. So pay attention when you get to this. It's pretty early on. It's like the 4th or 5th quest that you get. It's the only quest that you get from Mert. So just pay attention. Make sure you do that. Don't sink 10 mil into something that you don't need to sink 10 mil into. After you do the quest line, though, you unlock the Von Leon boss fight. You can also unlock the Rose Garden dailies, which I highly recommend doing for the Von Leon coins and the extra Ilfa's accessories, which we'll be using later to get the Ilfa's Noble Ring. It takes right about 100,000 range to clear Von Leon in an okay time. I had about 70,000 when I fought him, and it definitely took longer than it should have, and that's saying a lot because I'm actually super familiar with the fight. So try your best to go right around the 100,000 range. If you have less, that's okay. Just be prepared for a really long battle. The only thing you really have to look out for fighting Von Leon is his red eyes and his reflection. Both will one-shot you, so beware of them. He also sends you to the balcony constantly when he hits half health, so be prepared to break a lot of boxes if you don't burst him down fast enough. This boss really only took a while because he constantly delays and just makes you waste time. You've got 30 minutes to do it, so you have a lot of time, but just be prepared. If you have less than 100,000 range or even in the 100,000 range, it's still gonna take a little while. But thankfully, once we beat him, we got 3 Von Leon coins, which I think is a lot considering the second time I fought him I only got 1. We used the 3 Von Leon coins to buy a Von Leon cape, which is the first item in the Von Leon set that we'll be using for a while. At around this level, a lot of people prefer to get the Pencilier set when they're gearing up for CRA, but I personally prefer the set bonus of the Von Leon gear as well as the boss flames you're able to get on the items. All around, we'll be replacing the Von Leon set with the Empress set anyway, and I'll eventually replace that with CRA and Tyrant gear, but for now, it's absolutely perfect. It's going to take a while, and it's going to take a while just to get the desired flames. But, you know, we're going to fight Von Leon daily. We'll do the Rose Garden dailies. And then once I hit around 200,000 range, we'll be going from easy Von Leon to normal Von Leon. Then we'll get more coins and gear quicker. And everything will kind of start working together. It's just, unfortunately, like a lot of things in Maplestory, it takes time. It takes dailies. It's not all going to happen at once. If you want really quick gear and you just want to go straight into gearing up and getting potentials, you can go for the Pencilier set, which does have a good set bonus against normal monsters, but like I said, I personally prefer the boss damage set bonus I get from the Von Leon set. So because bossing is the main focus here, that's what I'll mostly be going for. And that's pretty much it for episode 1. Now that we're a decent enough level as well, I'll also be doing Monster Park every day. I'll also be doing Maple Tour daily, and we'll be getting those Monster Park potions and mesos and everything that we need from those. I'll also be doing Ursus during the 2x time to get right around 60 million mesos a day. I would also like to get better flamed accessories from Zekrom, and of course with Easy Horntail and Easy Magnus, we'll be going for their accessory items as well. If we get those, hopefully I will be recording. I usually record every boss video that I do, so hopefully you'll see that in the next video if I'm able to even get anything from that. But once we start building up our range, we'll be moving on to harder and harder bosses and pretty much just doing dailies up until we get the items that we need to progress even further. But with that, I'd like to end the video here and say thank you so much for watching. If you liked it or found it helpful, please leave a like and let me know what you think in the comments. I'll be responding to any questions that y'all leave. I'll be liking any comments that I receive. Thank you again. Like I said, this really isn't a video for like content's sake. I just kind of want to see my progression, kind of look back at it and see how far I've progressed, especially because I've been playing this game for 14 years and for some reason, I've never really taken it very seriously. And recently I've been wanting to see more of the game and progress further just as a challenge for myself. So that is partially what this series is for. So it's to help y'all, and it is also to keep track of myself and the progress that I've made. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that it's helpful. Thank you again. I'll see you all in part 2, which will hopefully be covering what I think is one of the most important early game dungeons or quest lines out there, which is the U Guardian quest. And hopefully we'll be seeing more bosses. So I also wanted to say while I was editing this video that I created a guild. So if you guys want to join the guild, it's called We Solo. I think that's just a fun little nod to the series and also a bit of a funny meme because I hope you guys are able to join and give each other like boss carries and stuff, and hopefully we're able to kind of progress and focus on bossing, as that's at least what I would like to Guild to be about, is progression, of course. So if you guys want to join We Solo, build it up with me, please feel free to request. I'll be going through the request pretty much all day. Yeah, then I think that's it.